This is CBC Here and Now.
Well, I'm just becoming a senior, or getting there, and I just want to make certain that we're not left in the cold.
The Saints going to be a minority government, and I took that in big consideration in the vote.
I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the country right now, and I think every vote counts.
More than 40 days of campaigning by the federal leaders and candidates all comes down to this, your vote. Today is Canada's 43rd general election. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes. Just 2.5 hours left to cast your ballot to help decide the next federal government. People in this province were the first to cast ballots in the country. Polls opened here at 8:30 Newfoundland time this morning and will remain open until 8:30 tonight. We spoke with some first-time voters and some more experienced voters about what drove them to the polls today.
We have a different opinion and a different outlook of life than any other generation, so I think it's really, really important for all young people to vote. As a young force to sort of say to the rest of the world, look, we're here, we need to change things. We have a lot of life to live and the world still needs to be here when we grow up, so I think we're working together and our numbers are going to go up this time around. So.
Well, I'm just becoming a senior, or getting there. And I just want to make certain that we're not left in the cold. Like out of the three parties, only one of them really got in touch with us.
My father-in-law was in the war 6 years overseas, and when I think about him and think about what they went through so that we could have the right to vote, and as a woman, thinking about how hard that women fought to have the right to vote, I think about that, and I think, I feel that I have a responsibility, and I want to, not just a responsibility, I want to do it. I have a desire to be part of what happens to our country.
Well, in this province, there are 7 federal seats available, 6 on the island and 1 in Labrador. Now, the most hotly contested riding of them all is St. John's East. That's where NDP candidate Jack Harris is hoping to win back the seat he lost to Liberal Nick Whalen in the last election. Here Now's Katie Breen is following the NDP for us this evening. She's live at the Geo Centre, where some optimistic NDP supporters plan to gather tonight. Katie?
Yeah, that's right. The Liberals currently have all 7 seats in the province, but the people who will be convening here later tonight, well, they hope to turn at least one of those seats orange, and their best shot at doing that is right here in St. John's East. It's been labeled a riding to watch. There are 4 people who are running. David Peters for the Green Party, he also ran in 2015. Jody Wall for the Conservatives, he's the mayor of Pooch Cove. Then the 2 top contenders, incumbent Liberal Nick Whalen and NDP vet Jack Harris. Harris was the MP for St. John's East for 2 terms. That is until a relatively unknown lawyer and engineer unseated him. Liberal Nick Whalen took the last election, but the question is, will he be able to hang on to his seat? He's had some questionable moments in his first 2 terms. He was called out for rolling his eyes behind a Conservative MP who was talking about military spending. And then again, he notoriously told people, Muskrat Falls protesters who were concerned about methylmercury levels, to eat less fish. Now, there was a big Liberal wave washing through in 2015. That wave no longer exists. If there is support, if there is momentum for at least one federal leader, it's for NDP's Jagmeet Singh. But is that momentum going to be enough? Carolyn?
Thanks so much, Katie. That's Here Now's Katie Breen reporting. So let's head to Happy Valley Goose Bay now. Reporter Jacob Barker is live outside a polling station at the Legion. Jacob.
Yeah, Carolyn, well, there was actually an issue with voting here in one of the ridings in Natwashish. Elections officers weren't able to get in last night on the flight that they were scheduled to go in on, and so they showed up this morning, but they didn't actually get that open until 1 o'clock this afternoon or thereabouts. And the Conservative MP actually put in a complaint about this with Elections Canada, and I did ask them about that complaint, and they said that they were able to get that polling station open and that there weren't any complaints from any of the electors there in that riding. It will be open until its scheduled time, 8 o'clock this evening. But I did also want to speak about some of the races here. There's 4 candidates here in Labrador. The incumbent Yvonne Jones is a very well-known politician, a very established politician here in Labrador. And she is running mainly on her record, talking about the investments her government has made in the infrastructure here, and also said that her focus is going to be on road access for the north. And of course there was that topic of the tunnel, the fixed link to the island that came up as part of the Liberal platform, something that a lot of Labradorians feel would be in their benefit. I spoke with her rival, Larry Fleming. I suppose the race is between those two first and foremost. He's a newcomer to the race, but I have to say he's gotten out there quite a bit. Pretty much everybody knows who he is at this point. He told me he's knocked on about 2,800 doors. He's been busy campaigning, and he would like to take power here in Labrador. There were 2 other candidates, Micheline Gray, another newcomer, NDP, and that district flopped in the provincial elections, and I'm sure she'd like to see a lot of support coming her way, you know, sort of riding that wave. And as well, we had 1 Green candidate, Tyler Colburn. He never even set foot here in Labrador, but it will be interesting to see how that plays out here, that race between the Liberals and the Conservatives. We do know there was an erosion of support for the provincial Liberals. Whether that spills over into the federal race will be interesting to watch. Reporting live for Here and Now in Happy Valley Goose Bay, I'm Jacob Barker.
Okay, so let's head to Central now, where Garrett Barry is standing by live. He's at Scott Sims' campaign headquarters in Gander. Garrett.
Yeah, well, Scott Sims is hoping to get re-elected as a Liberal here tonight. You can see the red signs behind me, but he's also running on a record that includes a lot of butting heads with the Liberal establishment. Sims was the last candidate to be in this province, last Liberal candidate in this province, rather, to be confirmed by the Liberal Party. He said it was a rift about fundraising dollars, but there have been many rifts during the last couple of years during this term between Sims and the party brass. We can go back, for example, 18 months. Sims was chair on the Fisheries Committee, but he was stripped of that job and about $12,000 in yearly salary when he voted against party lines. The vote was about changes to the Student Summer Jobs program. He wanted to remove a clause that would have applicants attest to abortion rights. More recently, also, he spoke out on the SNC-Lavalin affair and suggested that he might support a public inquiry into this matter. As it is expected to be a tight race when all the seats are counted nationally tonight, that makes the story of a rebel MP in Newfoundland and Labrador all that more interesting. Tonight, Sims is facing Alex Bracci. He is a former restaurant owner in the town of Gander and now a financial advisor in Twillingate. Noel Joe, who is the youngest member of the Muabagek First Nation Band Council, is running for the NDP. And Byron White, a resident of Comfort Cove and a published author, will be carrying the Green Party banner tonight. Just over 4,317 people voted the advanced polls in this riding, according to Elections Canada. That is slightly up over last time around, but it's just a fraction of the 64,000 voters that are eligible to vote in this riding, and of course that makes today's turnout all that more important for the candidates running here. Carolyn.
Thanks, Garrett. That's Here Now's Garrett Barry reporting. Well, another riding we'll be watching in the coming hours is St. John South Mount Pearl. Liberal Seamus O'Regan is hoping to get re-elected there. He's facing Terry Martin with the Conservative Party. And Marie Annenson is running for the NDP. And there are 3 more candidates in that riding. Alexandra Hayward for the Greens, Ben Ruckpaul for the People's Party of Canada, and David Jones with the Christian Heritage Party. And you can watch the election results as they come in tonight on CBC television and on the CBC GEM app. That coverage starts at 8 p.m. Newfoundland time, 7:30 in most of Labrador. And here's a first. On the CBC GEM app, CBC will provide election coverage in American Sign Language for hearing impaired viewers.
Well, other than that flight not getting in Labrador, there was no excuse not to get out and vote today as far as weather goes. An absolutely gorgeous day. A little bit of cloud cover moving through, and we'll continue to do so as we head through the night tonight. Temperatures this afternoon, absolutely gorgeous. About 9 degrees for St. John's, very little wind, so it felt very nice. We've got those cooler temperatures up along the northern portion of the island, and as we head towards the morning hours, we're going to see a little bit of a wind shift, which means onshore flow and some drizzle on the way tomorrow for some of us. Clear skies for others. I'll have all the details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, the Canadian Coast Guard ship Molly Cool is towing a sailboat towards St. John's. 2 people on the Salubrious contacted the Maritime Rescue Subcenter last night. They had lost their main sail and power to the engine about 135 nautical miles southeast of St. John's. The vessel was running on smaller sails but wasn't making much headway towards land. 2 civilian vessels were in the area at the time and were asked to stand by until the Molly Cool arrived at about 3:30 this morning. Well, a robocall offering to rid you of jury duty is too good to be true. The Department of Justice says the phone scam claims to be able to get you out of jury duty in exchange for your financial information. In reality, of course, though, jury summons are handed out at random, and the department says only a judge of the Office of the High Sheriff can grant an exemption. Well, a fixture in downtown St. John's was buried today. For many decades, Carl LeGros would perch himself in the Atlantic Place area and offer people walking by that day's edition of the Telegram newspaper. LeGros died last Tuesday. He was 69 years old. In a Facebook posting, his brother Steve described him as the gifted one in a family of 13. LeGros was also a longtime volunteer who sold tickets, hockey cards, and bingo cards for charity. Welcome back, everyone. Time for a look at the weather forecast. But before we get to that, it was a really big weekend for runners in St. John's. Close to 500 people tackled the 20-kilometer run from Cape Spear to Cabot Tower yesterday.
Yeah, and the Cape to Cabot is billed as one of the hardest races in Eastern North America.
Very, very hard.
Coming in at 1:16:47, Zach Putt.
For the second straight year, Zach Putt was the fastest person to come across the finish line. Not too far behind him was Jennifer Murrin in second place.
Yeah, it's a challenging course that takes runners over 4 major hills, but spirits were high. Desmond Power ran the entire race dressed as the Joker.
Nice. And it wasn't just those at the head of the pack who turned heads. You're looking at 81-year-old Florence Barron, who finished the Cape to Cabot in 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 45 seconds. Barron has been breaking age group records for years. Congratulations, Florence. That's amazing. I wish I had half that energy.
I wouldn't have been able to do it, that's for sure.
Do that race, my goodness.
No way.
And the final racer crossed the finish line just days before walking down the aisle. Tracy Coffey, she can now cross the Cape to Cabot off her bucket list.
Yeah, here's Here and Now's Jeremy Eaton. He has more on her emotional finish.
When I was 30, I ran my first telly, and this year I was 35, and I just wanted to do something big. Now, this morning, it didn't seem like that great of an idea, and the whole run, it wasn't really that great of an idea. But right now, I feel awesome, and I'm so happy that I did it.
It's always one of those things. Once you start off doing a couple of 5s, do a couple of 10s, a couple of tellies, then you start going to like the half marathons and the full marathons. So I was like, Trace, we should do the Cape to Cabot. The week before the wedding, we'll kickstart, the week, get things going. And she's like, okay. And we're like, oh, what did we do? And then we're like, okay, so we're going to do this. And it's awesome. Like, I'm so proud of her. It's amazing.
I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of us. We did it. Like, we did this today. Like, I'm so blessed to have such a great village and community. Like, it's, yeah.
Now, this is a huge milestone for you, but I understand another one's coming up. Can you talk about what's going to happen on Friday?
I'm getting married on Friday. Yeah, and we'll walk down the aisle in one piece, thankfully. That was the worry this morning.
Tracy, you were the final runner to cross the finish line. You had a little bit of help from the police there, and I understand the officer. Yeah, the officer. So what was that like? Was he encouraging you along the way?
Oh yeah, for sure. To be quite honest, coming out of the Cape, when he was behind me, I was thinking, really? Like, he's gonna make me want to quit here today. No, he was a great cheerleader along the way, and he's like, come on, I'll get you up the hill, let's go, let's go.
It's really emotional. One, just get it done, and then to see all the support, all your hard work, and everyone's so proud of you, and it's awesome.
Oh, it's so nice. It's so nice of the officer to cheer her on like that. I hope she's not too sore for the wedding. No, I would need more than like 5 days to recover from something like that. Yeah. And not to be outdone, a furry 4-legged race crasher showed up at the bottom of Signal Hill.
Yeah, about an hour before the runners hit the final climb, the moose tried to make his way up to the finish line.
Oh, to make matters funnier, the race mascot you see there held a sign reading, "OMG, there is a moose behind you," as the calf walked on by.
Yeah, officials weren't able to register an official time for the moose, but it's safe to say that he had a few legs up on the competition.
That's pretty cute, actually. Yeah, he must have heard about those Towntons being served up at the top of Signal Hill. Delicious.
I thought that was so great when I saw that.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful day for it yesterday. Another really nice fall day out there today.
Yeah, probably running, I would assume it's great running weather when you have those cooler temperatures, winds, not so bad, but today was a beautiful day.
Really
At least
nice.
on my, I thought so, yeah. We'll take a look at the current temperatures. We're sitting around 8 degrees right now in St. John, 7 in Bonavista. Pretty similar temperatures really across the board. A little cooler up through Labrador, 5 degrees in Lab City, and Nain currently sitting at 2. And those winds really not that strong, which is why those cooler temperatures by any means are feeling quite nice. Seeing about 13 km/h winds. Those winds right now out of the northwest. And they're going to shift a little bit more as we head through the night tonight. And with that, we're going to look into a little bit of rain, drizzle, and fog through the day tomorrow. But as we head through the night tonight, this is a look at the current satellite radar. You can see some more cloud cover moving in, some showers just offshore. That risk of showers will move in as we head through the night. But you can see up through Labrador, not a whole lot happening right now, just some of that cloud cover moving in. But in behind that, those skies will clear. We do have a little bit of a ridge of high pressure in behind it. So temperatures are going to drop quite significantly up through Lab City, Lab West really, as those skies clear out tonight and those winds die down. But again, we are looking at that risk of showers for the west coast. May even see in some of those higher elevations a few flurries with that. And then as we head towards the morning hours, when we start to see that change in the wind direction, that's when things will change. So we are looking at that risk of some showers overnight tonight, or at least towards the early morning hours for parts of Central. 3 degrees for Gander, 4 for Corner Brook, same for Port aux Basques with those winds generally light. And then west northwesterlies for the northeast coast. You're looking at about 10 to 15 km/h. So pretty light tonight, but with those clear skies and calm winds, Lab City should go down to about -7 overnight tonight. Happy Valley, Goose Bay, -5, -2 in Nain, or -2 in Nain rather. And then we're going to hang on to the drizzle along the coastal Labrador as well as we head through the night tonight. Pretty much from Hopedale southward is where you're looking at that risk of showers. Now, as that low pulls away tomorrow and that ridge of high pressure moves in, most of us will see an actually pretty beautiful day, especially along the west and south coast. But there's that cloud cover and that potential for some drizzle anywhere really along coastal Labrador and parts of the northeastern portions of the island. So here's your temperatures, a little cooler as well. 7 degrees for St. John's, northwesterlies this time, and they're going to pick up a little bit. So 20 to 40 km/h winds. Likely just some showers in the morning for the Burin Peninsula. You're looking at about 9 degrees, and then things should clear out. Plenty of sunshine for areas to the west. So 7 degrees for Grand Falls, Windsor. Again, some sun peeking out at times. You'll likely see that cloud cover move in late day. And then 10 degrees for Corner Brook. Again, those showers in the morning. Most of the afternoon should be absolutely beautiful. 10 degrees for Port aux Basques as well. And then up through the northern peninsula, St. Anthony, you're going to likely see that cloud cover and about 6 degrees anywhere really up along the northeast coast. And then for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 5 degrees, 6 for Lab City. Plenty of sunshine under that big ridge of high pressure. Nain, you're looking at a lovely but cool day as well. And then Makovic, you're going to be into some of that cloud cover and drizzle and sitting around 4 degrees. So that's a look at your forecast. We'll look ahead to the middle of the week coming up.
4 years ago, he was so fuddle-duddle happy, he could fuddle-duddle cry. Well, how will Liberal Nick Whalen fare tonight? Well, it's one of the big stories we're watching in Newfoundland and Labrador as part of election 2019. I'm Terry Roberts. We'll have more on that coming up.
I just think this election is particularly important. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the country right now, and I think every vote counts.
They're saying it's going to be a minority government, and I took that in big consideration in the vote. Normally I vote for the person, but this time I voted. This time I did vote for the person. Normally I vote for the party.
We need to get our opinions out there because we're the future of Canada, right?
Well, just about 2 hours until polls close in this province. Still time to get out and vote. Tonight, we'll be keeping eyes on the 7 ridings in this province. In the riding of Avalon, there are 4 candidates. Ken McDonald with the Liberal Party is hoping to get re-elected. He's facing Matthew Chapman with the Conservatives, Leah Mary Movell with the NDP, and Greg Malone with the Green Party. Now on the West Coast, voters are casting ballots in the riding of Long Range Mountains. Here and Now's Troy Turner reports from Corner Brook.
There's been a pretty steady stream of traffic to and from the Main Street polling station here in Corner Brook as people cast their votes in the Long Range Mountains riding. The lead up to today has been pretty quiet and anticlimactic. It's largely expected that Goody Hutchings, the Liberal incumbent, will walk away with another victory here tonight. That would mark her 2nd election win. She is challenged by the Conservative Party's Josh Isis, who we have not seen in the district. 2 Corner Brook candidates representing the New Democrat Party, Holly Pike, and the Green Party, Lucas Nill, have been seen in and around the Corner Brook, but there's not a lot of representation outside the city for either of those parties. There's also the Veterans Coalition Party represented by Robert Miles. Again, we're not expected to see a lot of impact from that party as we start counting the votes this evening. Climate change has been a little bit of talk here in the Corner Brook area. There was a forum or a debate on climate change in which only 2 candidates, the New Democrats and the Green Party, showed up for that. So again, it's things that people are talking about, but it's not something that has been seen as a big priority.
And that's Here and Now's Troy Turner reporting from Corner Brook. Now to the riding of Bonavista Buren Trinity, where there are 4 candidates in the running. Liberal Chance Rogers is trying to get re-elected. Sharon Vokey is the Conservative candidate. Matthew Cooper is running for the NDP, and Kelsey Reichel is representing the Greens. But as we talked about earlier in the show, the race to watch closely tonight is St. John's East. The NDP's Jack Harris once held the seat and now wants it back. Incumbent Liberal Nick Whalen is hoping for a return to Ottawa. Here Now's Terry Roberts is covering Nick Whalen for us tonight. Terry.
Hi, Carolyn. Well, I'm outside Nick Whalen's campaign. As you can see, I was inside earlier, and people are on the edge of their seats in there. They know that this is close because there's a big question here. Will Nick Whalen, Liberal Nick Whalen, will he hold on to this seat for the Liberals? Because we all know there's a big question mark because he's facing Jack Harris, a political strongman for the NDP. You know, 2 landslide victories for here in 2008, 2011, until that shocker we heard of 4 years ago. So really all we know right now is that it's too close to call. And we also got to remember that there are 2 other candidates in this riding as well. For the Conservatives, we have Jody Wall. He's the mayor of Pooch Cove. But he has a lot of ground to cover because, as we know, 4 years ago, the Conservative candidate here recorded about 7% of the vote. So that would be a major upset if Jody Wall could pull off this race here tonight. And we also have David Peters, who's back for the Greens, who 4 years ago got just 1% of the vote. So in all likelihood, this is a two-man race here tonight. Now, I spent some time with Whalen this afternoon. And one thing I noticed is that he's getting an awful lot of support from his Liberal political cousins, you might say. Here's one of the scenes I captured at one of his satellite offices. And just look at some of the faces around the table here. You know, you've got Transportation Minister Steve Crocker, Municipal Affairs and Environment Minister Derek Bragg, Mount Sion MHA Sarah Studley. There are other cabinet ministers inside here right now as we're talking. So they're charging hard, trying to get all the votes out that they can. They believe that if they can get their base of support out, they're telling me inside they believe they can win here tonight. Now, as for Whalen, he's no longer the underdog, of course, and really he says he's ready for any eventuality.
Yeah, I've written my concession speech because that's the one that I know that I'd be stumbling over if I'm forced to give it. Hopefully I won't, and if I have to, it's ready. And if I don't, I guess I'm just going to be running on the emotion of my volunteers to hopefully remember to thank everyone I need to thank and to say something poignant and inspirational for the teams that are still fighting the election right across the country.
Now, if this goes anywhere like it did 4 years ago, expect a very close race. The margin was only 700 votes for Whalen last time. And you remember when he won that race last time, he uttered that now famous phrase, a little bit of an homage to Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau, when he said, "I'm so fuddle-duddle happy I could fuddle-duddle cry." So now the polls close in about 2 hours, and we'll soon find out whether Whalen will have to put those law and engineering degrees back to work in the civilian world, or whether he'll go back to Ottawa for another 4 years. Reporting live for Here and Now, I'm Terry Roberts in St. John's.
Well, about 20,000 polling stations are open across the country. Here's how the major party leaders spent their day. Liberal leader Justin Trudeau brought his family with him to vote in Montreal, where he got a little helping hand from 5-year-old Hadrian. And Conservative leader Andrew Scheer was out knocking on doors with a local candidate in Regina before voting himself in a nearby riding. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh already voted at an advance poll, but he was out thanking volunteers and supporters at his riding headquarters in Burnaby. And Green Party leader Elizabeth May cast her ballot on Vancouver Island. This is the first federal election where the Greens have run a candidate in every riding. And Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet voted in Shawinigan. More than 27 million Canadians are eligible to vote in this election. And a quick reminder to stay with CBC tonight for our Canada Votes 2019 election special. Our David Cochran will have the first results as they start rolling in for Newfoundland and Labrador.
It is sad to leave a house where you have lived such a long time.
Sitting on 13 acres, it's filled with classic French furniture and has its own 70-seat music hall. Villa Fairwind is for sale. We go inside ahead on Here and Now. Welcome back to Here and Now. Well, turning to the West Coast now and away from politics, the Villa Fairwind was a mainstay for classical music concerts. Now it's for sale. Once again, here's Troy Turner with a story about one of the Humber Valley's most interesting homes.
Music used to be live. Some of the area's classical musicians played at Villa Fairwind. Now, the music played in the performance hall in Robert Diemer's home is recorded. House concerts in the Pasadena home were a mainstay for years. They haven't held one since 2016. Now the unique house is for sale, and the concerts may never return. Diemer said the concerts were a lot of work, but always fun.
They are good memories that I will always remember, of course, but it is sad to leave a house where you have lived such a long time.
The 5,300 square foot home is furnished in Louis XVI style. Diemer, who was originally from St. Pierre, was paying homage to the French style developed back in the late 1700s. The centerpiece of the house is the performance hall, which seats 70 people. Diemer's Chow Chows, Hansel and Gretel, feature prominently throughout the house, as do portraits, paintings, and European-inspired pieces of furniture. The home sits on a 13-acre piece of land just off Main Street.
Well, we wanted an antique cloak, if you wish, and that's how we had some pieces before this started, and then we decided it should be classical, antique furniture, and so we found many pieces in Montreal.
Diemer wouldn't say why she wanted to sell the home that she and her late husband Carl had built all those years ago. However, when asked if she thought that the concert series should be revived in the same location, her answer was short and simple: I hope.
Well, did you know there's a secret garden at Memorial University, one that's been cut off from the outside world for nearly 20 years. What was once a bright little spot is now wild and overgrown. CBC Radio's Ted Blades recently visited the university campus and brings you this look inside the lonely garden.
It's like vintage ruins. Kind of like a set for a zombie film.
The garden was locked around 2000, 2001.
I used to come here first when I was in high school, I think. So it was just a nice spot to sit in the grass, lie on the benches, chat with your fellow students, or just do some reading. A bit of a refuge or sanctuary. And in the summertime, it would be full of flowers and vines. So it was just a really beautiful place to be. It was a beautiful spring day, and I thought to myself I should go and sit outside and have my lunch hour there, read a book. And I tried to get in, and this door was locked, and I think I spent the entire lunch hour just walking around the building in circles, figuring there must be another door somewhere. And everything was locked. There was no way to get in.
All right, Hans, well, Keith Bowden from Facilities Management at VUN has just joined us. So, Keith, if you would do the honors, can you unlock the door? All right, Hans, out you go.
There was never a garden per se when the building was originally built. The section behind us was open, so this was right through. There was indeed a breezeway here in '68 when it was officially opened. Around two and a half years after that, they shelled it in. Nominally, what we hope to do when core science opens and chemistry moves out of here, we've notionally reserved an office that we can punch the second exit back in and hopefully open it back up. Now that's a lot of hopes in there, but at least we absolutely have to have the second exit. It has to be in a certain position, has to have some other code requirements, fire separations, that kind of thing. But that's what we'd have to do to have access reinstated to the garden here.
It's got this exciting kind of ruin look to it, but it would be really nice to clean it up and allow people to sit out here again, enjoy it.
Well, as we creep closer to Halloween, St. John's Farm continued its yearly Pumpkin Fest tradition, spreading Halloween spirit while also raising money for charity. Lester's Farm Market harvested more than 10,000 pumpkins this year. Here Now's Jeremy Eaton has more.
So this is my most favorite day on the farm the entire year. This is our 18th annual Pumpkin Fest. So basically it's a day-long event where all the proceeds are donated to the Real program at Mount Pearl Sport Alliance. And it's just a fun day for people of all ages. So here on the stage we have some games like worm digging, pie eating, and of course our hot pepper contest, which is a fan favorite for sure.
All right, 60 seconds, lead the second one.
As you may see around here, we love fall. Not only is it the most pumpkin time around, harvest time is wrapping up, which is great, but we also go above and beyond with all of our fall props. So we have, our scarecrow up there, which we named Russell Crows. We have our corn maze, wagon rides. This area is a lot of fun. You can come in here for hours and you don't get lost in the corn maze, but you can certainly try.
I went down that slide over there. I went on the wagon ride and I watched the big old catapults. It's really fun. I've been doing it since I was only a few weeks old.
And what's your favorite part, Maria?
That I get to jump in hay.
And how much fun is it to jump in hay?
I get to throw hay at my brother.
I'm having a blast. I've been told I have the mentality of a child, so it works. I'm good. I'm having a good time. I think they're having a good time.
We would never be here without our customers and the support of the communities around. So it's just a simple way for us to give back to the communities, and the Real program and Mount Pearl Sport Alliance kind of align with our values, which is kind of giving back to the community, ensuring that families have, a good support team, as well as, ways to get out there and do extracurricular activities, which is very important to us. So it's great seeing families come out and support those two programs and just enjoy the farm. My whole family, my parents and two of my brothers that are here with us, we love what we do. We're very passionate about what we do. So when we get to see other people enjoy what we do, it's very heartwarming. And it certainly helps us, get through the seasons when we're working really hard. Getting to see people enjoy what we do it's just a really good feeling.
Happy Halloween!
They certainly look like they had a beautiful weekend for it. Now as we head through the next 24 hours, we're getting into some gray skies, but there's some more sunshine in the forecast. I'll have all the details coming up.
and how are things looking as we go forward?
Yeah, so we do have a little bit of drizzle and some fog on the way. We'll take a look at the forecast just one more time quickly. 7 degrees in St. John's. Really anywhere along the northeast coast, we're going to look at that potential for some drizzle, occasional drizzle, and some fog through the day, and even up through Labrador as well. Otherwise, it will be a lovely day as high pressure dominates with plenty of sunshine for the west, south, and interior, and then Lab West as well. Looking at plenty of sunshine tomorrow, Lab City sitting around 6 degrees. Now, as we move forward, we are looking at the influence of that low pressure system a little bit through the evening hours on Tuesday as it continues to move a little bit further east. Some more cloud cover will push in by Wednesday morning for Lab West, and then you're going to see the next system rolls in through the day on Wednesday. Now, with this, we are likely going to see some snow, certainly in the higher elevations as that system continues to track a little bit further east, with snow up through Labrador, northern portions of Labrador as well, because those temperatures are still quite chilly. Otherwise, as that trough continues to move further east, we are going to see rain associated with that, and more than likely some strong winds through the day on Thursday for most of us on the island as we see some of that heavier rain push through as well. And temperatures sitting on Wednesday pretty similar to what we're seeing, so about 9 degrees. They're not really moving much over the next couple of days, just a degree here and there. Corner Brook sitting around 11 by the time Wednesday rolls around, and then Port aux Basques looking at 9 degrees. Again, that rain will move in for you a little earlier. Lab City have 7 degrees as the daytime high, but as those temperatures dip overnight, that's when we're looking at that snow potential, with plenty of sunshine for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 8 degrees, and 5 for Nain. Now, as far as those temperatures go, like I said, over the next couple of days, they are going to rise a little bit. Here's what we're looking at for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. 11 degrees by Thursday as that system pushes through, with rain and windy conditions, and generally, unfortunately, looking gray for the weekend, Friday and Saturday. As of now, anyway, the timing on some of these systems not really well agreed upon, so this will likely change in the coming days. Definitely have a few days to figure that one out. As far as central Newfoundland goes, 9 degrees by Wednesday, and then Thursday, a bump up to those double digits. Friday, a few peaks of sun, and potentially Saturday as well, looking at those temperatures dipping. Temperatures not as bad for Friday. It's 9 degrees by Saturday for western Newfoundland. You're looking at dipping down to about 5 degrees. Those overnight lows are going to dip as well. Now for eastern Labrador, sunshine through Wednesday. Then we get into that system, 11 by Thursday, and then Friday looking at 8 degrees. Saturday 5, and then for western Labrador, again, that snow overnight, and then I've got flurries in the forecast, it looks like, for both Friday and Saturday, as those temperatures sit around 1 or 2 degrees and your overnight lows back to the minus single digits. So that's a look at your forecast. I'll have your weather photo coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, the CBC's Go Public team has been investigating online banking fraud, and there's no shortage of stories. More than 200 people have reached out, including a BC man who had his bank account hacked and thousands stolen. As Erica Johnson reports, there are calls for banks to take more responsibility when their systems are compromised.
It felt surreal. Like, I mean, no one wakes up thinking that, hey, money's going to be taken out of my bank account.
Last February, hackers targeted Sanjit Lidar's savings account, stole $3,000. While he was sorting things out, standing inside his branch, they grabbed $2,000 more.
I didn't feel safe at all, wondering, well, what could I do now? Money's gone and no one's there to help me.
Scotiabank refused to reimburse its customer, said the money was transferred from an IP address Lidar had an extensive history with, although cybersecurity experts say hackers can do that. Cyber criminals targeting bank accounts are a growing threat, according to a security advisor with an international team of investigators.
Banks have been fighting it for a long time now, and it has been becoming increasingly challenging for them because criminals have become increasingly sophisticated.
She helped uncover malicious software, recently shut down, that targeted North American financial institutions, including 2 Canadian banks, stealing an estimated $100 million from customers. As more bank customers lose their savings to hackers, this public policy researcher says it's not their fault. The bank should be required to take responsibility.
how does it make sense to blame the people who are using the tool that's given to them and are then victimized by the tool? We didn't build it, we're told to use it, and the persons or groups or organizations that are building these tools have to accept liability for their own failures.
Go Public asked the Canadian Bankers Association whether the banks would consider paying out when their systems are compromised. The CBA wouldn't address that question, saying protecting customer accounts is the bank's top priority. After Go Public contacted Scotiabank, it reimbursed Sanjeet Lidhar. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, a fight between the Australian government and a media that feels increasingly muzzled blew up today. The country's major newspapers published blacked out front pages to protest what they call government secrecy and a lack of press freedom.
The Financial Review?
Thank you.
The Age?
Yes.
The Telegraph?
Journalists say they are facing lawsuits for exposing political scandals and that the government has created a culture of secrecy. The Right to Know coalition was prompted by recent police raids on the homes of prominent journalists. The group wants greater protection for media and whistleblowers. The government says it supports press freedom, but that no one is above the law. A powerful tornado that tore through Dallas, Texas last night has left behind widespread destruction. Thousands of homes are without power.
Tornado touching down right now.
Daylight is revealing miles of rubble and downed trees in the storm's wake. Crews are reporting significant damage to power lines as they try to restore electricity for over 100,000 customers. There are no reports of fatalities or serious injuries in northern Dallas, where the twister touched down. Areas further east could also see severe thunderstorms later this evening.
We want to know where you're to, especially this weekend. What a stunning weekend for fall colors, because I got tons of pictures. But Barry Parsons sent us this one, and I'll tell you where this is to when we come back.
Welcome back. Well, earlier in the show, we saw some impressive athletes who finished the Cape to Cabot race. Well, just have a look at this. A young Indonesian woman who can scale a wall
My condition is not good.
faster than Spider-Man has set a new world record.
But in place, I can new record. Wow, amazing for me.
Yeah, have a look at this. She scaled a 15-meter wall in little more than the time it's taken me to read this sentence. That's the fastest indoor climb for a woman.
Wow, that's impressive. And if you'd like to see more, you're not alone. The sport will debut at the Olympics in Tokyo next summer.
Nice.
Wow.
She is fast.
When I rock climb, I'm not nearly as good as that.
Yeah, are you scared of heights? I'm a bit
No,
scared of heights.
I'm not scared. Well, I guess it depends, but normally I'm not scared of heights. But maybe on a wall I am a little bit.
Yeah. So lots of beautiful pictures. The leaves are really starting to change now, I've been noticing.
I think we're pretty close to the peak. Yeah, take a look at this beautiful photo. I'm sure many of you were out and about this weekend, and this one was taken in Charlottetown.
Nice.
Out on a little bit of a road trip this weekend, Barry Parsons was. Yeah, so this was his view. He stopped, he had to see, he said there was tons of photos, but these were some of his favorites. So thank you so much for sending that in. And if you have any, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Great, and yeah, be sure to stay tuned to CBC because it's going to be a very interesting evening with all the election coverage that's coming, so you can stick with CBC for all that. I'd say it's going to be a pretty late night before we find out the results, but and more to digest and analyze tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.